Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Miami Grand Prix preview. As again, it's becoming customary. We have Wajid alongside us. How are you, Wajid?
Hi everyone.
He's running out of intros now, isn't
Don't
he?
worry, they'll be back. I'm giving the energy I'm giving for this intro is the same energy I have for this particular race. So matches.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a long one, guys. Um,
That's what she said.
yeah. Anyway, Miami Grand Prix. Luckily, we haven't got to go through the history of it very well because there's only ever been one Miami Grand Prix, first hosted in 2022. 57 laps of the 5.4 kilometre circuit, a race distance of 308 kilometres. 308 kilometres, which we didn't get back from our lives last year. What a bore fest it was. And people say about Azerbaijan last week and all that, but I'm not one to say it was terrible Grand Prix. But it was a terrible Grand Prix. All the hype, all the build up, and everything. And the most exciting thing that happened was Martin's grid walk, which was poor Martin last year with his grid walk. It was fun. Um, Wajid, looking forward to this one.
What I want to say I can't say because of YouTube guidelines. So no, no, I'm not. I've been the first to say we don't need 95 races in the United States. We already had one at Kota. It was good enough. If you want to swap between Kota and Indianapolis, fine. There is no need for these farcical races at Miami and later on in the season in Las Vegas. But that's just me.
I mean, we do have the circuit map in front of us, and sector one and sector three. I don't think are too shabby as a circuit in general. You know, you have sector one is very reminiscent of Kota, and sector three is only about 3 corners long anyway, with that very long straight at the back that heads down towards the pits. Now, first of all, we'll talk about whether the Miami Grand Prix is really needed. Wajid has already sort of kind of jumped on it slightly there. Um, we're obviously there because we've got American owners and they are trying to put the sport out there in America. So we've got Kota, we've got Las Vegas later in the year, we've got Miami. If we do have, let's take hypothetically these are test events, and we're going to have two American Grand Prix over the next few years. Miami's the one to go, is it?
Yeah. Well, up until we see Vegas, but at this moment, yeah.
Well,
Uh,
from what we've seen, the Vegas track is really difficult because even the AI couldn't hit an apex around it. Just so people know, we have just literally watched a video of it, and the AI hit one apex out of every corner around Las Vegas. And that's on F1's own website. So yeah, well done, boys, or girls. I'll cover ourselves there.
or hamsters, or broccoli, or helicopters, or
No,
microphones.
hamsters would drive better than that AI did. The Miami circuit, as I said, last year was not the most exciting kind of the race. Mercedes struggled there. Red Bull and Ferrari battled it out at the front, and I think Schumacher had a collision with Vettel at one point. And the most difficult corner seemed to be in practice with qualifying as well was the turn 13, 14, 15, almost Mickey Mouse chicane that went under the bridge. Not a lot they could really do there either, is it, Wajid? Because it
Nah.
goes under the bridge, you've got the pillars for the bridge, and if you left it at a full speed kind of corner, the car's going to take off over that little hump.
Yeah, they are, and this is my problem with Tiki Hillman circuits. He has a blank canvas, and he cannot. I don't remember the last time he made a good circuit. To be perfectly, because even the fabled one at Hanoi that we didn't end up racing at, that wasn't a good circuit.
We might still be racing there next year.
Oh, for God's sake,
It is still in talks.
they,
Um,
they're not. They Formula One need to get away from Tiki Hillman circuits. I guarantee if you give a 4-year-old a blank canvas and go draw me a racetrack, they can they can create a better racetrack. How would you give blank canvases and produce such? I'm trying. I'm trying.
Blank canvases are repetitive circuits. I mean, obviously we've got United States. I'd say that COTA was a pretty decent circuit. You know, he was part of a redesign of Mexico. He was, you know, you take all of these circuits and you have that similar in United States. It's the first sector. In Mexico, it's sector 2. These fast-flowing, following corners. You got it in. Do you have it in Singapore? Not really. You have it in Miami. You have it in,
the difference with Singapore, he had to design a circuit based off what the roads of Singapore. So because he's not been given creative license, it's produced a good racetrack. As soon as you give this man creative license, he can't design a racetrack. Qatar, he had no designing. That's a MotoGP track. For me, the two last great race circuits he's helped design were Sepang and Istanbul and the Istanbul Park. For me personally.
Would you not fit in? I literally just said it not long ago. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what the circuit I said was.
COTA.
No, before COTA, it would have been. It's not on the calendar now. India.
Okay, I'd
completely blank canvas.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Then again, the third sector was exactly the same.
It's the same. But the difference with India is we raced at India with the smaller cars, the 100, the sort of the V8 2008 to 2014 incarnation of cars. Those cars, like, he's still designing race circuits for that level of car. What I mean with Istanbul and Sepang, you can still drive these modern cars. It's like we've seen like, okay, the last Istanbul race was a bit of a stinker, but we've seen very, very good racing with these incarnation cars. If you put these modern cars at India, it's not going to be a good race at all.
No, it's true,
and I just think Formula One need to get away from this Tiki Hillman obsession. This facade of him and his family because he's designed racetracks. They're not fucking good racetracks.
No, they are questionable. I will say he does come up with one every now and again, but you go, yeah, okay, that works. And I suppose with India, with Korea, Korea's another one. End of a lap, very similar in terms of style. And each one of these seems to have these fast-flowing corners, and then this hiddly-piddly, almost stadium section. So COTA has it near the end of the lap. Miami has it.
Vegas is going to have it, as we've seen from the Jeddah's got it.
I'm trying to think what hiddly-piddly stadium section Jeddah.
As you come round the final corner, sector 1, as you come round the final corner, you head up the straight, and it's that stupid tight chicane turn 1 and 2 that leads to that fast flowing section of all of sector 1.
Mexico as well, but reworking the stadium.
Sorry, yeah, of course.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. They have it around the hotel. I know they had to face
but
that hotel was built with the circuit in mind.
And bear in mind, they've redesigned the racetrack, and it's worse. Mm-hmm. That last corner is terrible. Like how do you design racetracks for so long, and can't have like any car. It's a fast straight, and you need a hard braking zone into a into a sharpish corner. These where no car any formula can overtake in these free flowing sections. Formula One, Formula Two, Formula Three,
Yeah.
the GT series, Le Mans series, cars cannot overtake in flowing sections.
I just don't get why lessons aren't learnt from things like Monza, where you've got, yes, it's straight and chicanes, but they're slow corners. You get mistakes because the cars aren't using the aerodynamics to balance out. And yeah, okay, it's probably not as fun for the drivers, but we're not here for the drivers to have fun. You know, we keep getting told it's an entertainment business. It's not to do with the drivers having fun. Um,
The original Hockenheim circuit.
yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, when they did change Hockenheim, they did. I think they changed it still quite well. You know, it was well done.
No, no, but I'm just my point being again the original Hockenheim circuit. It was two long straights into the forest with chicanes that you overtook at. Yeah, you had that. Oh, speaking of racetracks with that go into stadium sections for no reason, the
Yeah,
Hockenheim
yeah, but that stadium section was always there anyway, so it was
sector
sector
three.
three. Yeah, it was always there anyway, even on the old system. So
But
so in terms of Miami, we've had the one Grand Prix. We've said about the format, whether we like the way it works as a circuit. I think the clear answer is no, and things like that. So, while it is the 11th different American venue to host a Grand Prix, it is probably, I wouldn't say it's quite the worst. I mean, we've had Caesar's Palace car park and things like that. So, I wouldn't say it's the worst venue, but the reason for having a Grand Prix, I think, is completely wrong. And is Miami really needed?
yeah, but at
No,
least
it was more. Last season was more about who turned up rather than the Grand Prix.
with Caesar's Palace car park, it was a race of attrition. The tires started melting. At least it was entertaining for all the wrong reasons. There
Yeah,
was nothing. There was nothing redeeming about Miami last year.
true, true. Apart from it was another step towards having an interview with Christian Horner, which, and also never forget the little trip on the golf cart to get to the podium.
And the American football helmets.
I will admit, it did remind me very much of when at Spa, where the podium was round on the run down to Eau Rouge years ago, and they used to park up in the F1 pits and then have to get in a car to drive down to the podium. Kind of reminded me of that, but extended because we're in a golf buggy and you're putting it in a stadium where nobody is.
Yeah, but did you see how the driver? Did you see how the drivers looked? They just
Yeah,
the drivers thought. You can tell most of the drivers thought that the Miami show was a complete farce.
yeah,
The like like I think Verstappen just like at points looked like I don't want to be here. Just give me my trophy. Let me go home.
that's like the Verstappen at most Grand Prix, to be fair.
No, that's true.
While we're on the subject of Verstappen, a quiet weekend, really, relatively for him at Azerbaijan. Sergio Perez certainly upstood him throughout the two races. I know he had damage in the first one. We're not going to ask him about that. But Red Bull title fight. Are we just looking at a situation of last season? You know, we had Perez winning Monaco. Everybody went, "Well, hey, look, we got a title fight." Then he was there for the first half of Baku and then disappeared for the rest of the season. Are we looking at maybe a different one because the attitudes between them have changed now?
So Monaco's race 7, isn't it? We're currently at what, race 5?
Yes.
Generally, Monaco's race 7. Let's get to race 8 before we start talking about a Checo title challenge. People showing like the world title standing and going, oh look, he's only 6 points behind. Yeah, and if you look at Checo's win history, he's still yet to win on a normal, quote unquote, normal race circuit. All his, I mean, I, okay, you can take Sakia, but Sakia's a very, very
It was an odd weekend in
stand. Yeah,
general.
it's a standard. Like there was no Lewis because of COVID. To be honest, the way George Russell sprinted away in that Merc, if it wasn't for the Merc cluster at the pits, George Russell probably would have won the race. Could and should have won the race. Um, so yeah, he won at Sakia, but all ever since he's been in Red Bull, he's not won on a quote unquote normal race circuit. So let him win on a normal race circuit first before we start talking about title challenges and things like that. And the things with Checo, thing with Checo is the same thing that said about Bottas, that the same that said about Barrichello, that the same that up until 1999 was said about Irvine, the same
Yeah,
about Webber, the same about
Coulthard.
Massa, Coulthard, the same about Massa post crash. They're not consistent. They're not consistent enough.
The one thing I do take from Baku, and a lot of people will say, well, Max could have won it if the safety car hadn't screwed him over and things like that. But Perez was pushing him, and what we normally see is if it's a Red Bull 1-2, Perez will be asked to be 2 seconds back, and he may have been asked to preserve the tyres and look after the fuel, and also if the safety car comes out, then we've got the position that we can double stack and stuff like that. Perez never did that. For me, there's there's just that little bit of advantage with Baku. I just think there's something slightly different about Sergio. That he was running second, but he was pushing Max extremely hard in that first
I,
stint.
I just okay, yeah, cool. Checo doesn't. The relation between Checo and Max is strained. Fine, whatever. Until he wins at a normal racetrack, I'm not putting any.
No,
Let's get,
I can
let's
get that.
get, let's get to what we at. It's 23 races this year, isn't it, I
Yeah,
believe. Excuse me. Let's get to halfway before we have any sort of talk of a title challenge, because I was everyone was sort of premature about it last year.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, Monaco is really close, and then I think what Max went on to win. Max went on to win 12 of the last
Yeah.
15 races or something ridiculous like that. So and they're not, and they weren't like, and they're not, and they weren't like close wins, or like
No.
they were peerless. They were dominant victories. So let's sort of get to the summer break and let's see where we are, in my opinion.
Well, let's just have a look forward at the calendar slightly. We've got Miami obviously coming up this weekend. Then on the 21st of May is the Emilia Romagna. Sorry, it's always going to be the San Marino Grand Prix. In
which
Italy.
which Max is dominant at.
Yeah, Perez actually finished second in the second last season, but third in the sprint race. But then that was probably helped slightly by Leclerc's spin through Variante Alta. Really didn't help. Then we got Monaco. We know Perez is strong there. Obviously, road circuit again. Then we got Spain, where he was leading. Was it last season? I think he was leading, and then
Yeah,
got
it was.
asked to learn through a
Yeah, it was
strategy.
last season, and then they came to a strategy.
And then we got Canada, which is a quirky circuit as it is. Perez has been strong there before. I can think of him getting podiums and stuff like that. Just trying to think off the top of my head what the full race result was last year. It was Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton with Perez. Did he? He did not finish after 7 laps. So issues there for Red Bull, but a circuit he is stronger, and like you say, a bit of a quirky circuit as well.
But so
So
let's not even go into the. So we've got the calendar as you're scrolling down.
mhm.
Austria, Max is imperious at.
that's
Silver.
that's the interesting one for me. Austria, if he can get it to Austria in touch or slightly ahead, and he can compete at Austria, then we've got a title fight.
For me, it's got to get to Belgium. For me, it has to get to Belgium, because for me,
Yeah,
Austria, um, Silverstone, and the Hungaroring, Max is very, very good at historically. Like
yeah,
those, for me personally, those are Like Max is a very, very good driver, but those three circuits, Max is extraordinary at, and then
Yeah.
and Belgium. So for me,
And then you've got Zandvoort as well.
yeah, which
Straight
I
after.
think Max has won every incarnation at Zandvoort, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So for me, that's why this talk of title challenges for racing is ridiculous when that sort of middle section of Grand Prix, um, Max is imperious at,
Yeah.
especially like I fear for Sergio when it comes to the A1 ring, the Hungara ring, and Spa Francorchamps,
Yeah.
and Zandvoort. Four out of those five races, he
That's
had.
why I wonder if he gets to Canada, maybe slightly in the lead, he's got something to protect. But whether he's going to do that will be another kettle of fish. Because I honestly think Monaco, Canada, Britain, don't know if Perez is hit and miss a bit. Monza, I seem to think Perez is quite stronger. He was for Sauber when he was there. Japan, yeah, I don't think he's terrible. Singapore obviously won last year. And then we're looking at probably Vegas, maybe. You know, it might suit him. But apart from that, so that's why for the next four Grand Prix, he's just got to try and maximise what he can get. And then maybe there's a title photo.
By the time they get to Spa, sorry, by the time after Spa, after towards the end of the European tour, Checo has to be within a Grand Prix win of Max.
Yeah. And
If
that is entirely possible, you know, with the scoring we've got at the moment. It is entirely possible unless Max really hits the ground running.
it is, but neither one of us are saying. The talk is how consistent Perez is going to be. Neither one of us have at one have said where where is Max's weakest circuit.
Yeah.
Like neither both of us said, well, Max is imperious at the A1 ring. Max is imperious at Hungary. Max is imperious at Spa. Max is like untouchable at Zandvoort. Like for me, that's five race. That for me, that's five potential, five very strong possibility race wins, unless obviously mechanical issues or one of Ferrari, Aston, or McLaren, as not McLaren, sorry, Mercedes, find eight tenths of a second in their car.
I,
That's
I would throw this slight thing in there. Now, we're all thinking it. We are honestly all thinking this. If we get to Austria and he is in contention, he is in a touching distance. If we get to Spa and he is in touching distance, are Red Bull going to allow it to happen?
this is the last year of Checo's contract, isn't it?
Currently, yes.
Yeah. So
But would you? I mean, the thing is with that thing with Perez's contract is right now. Would you sign Perez back up for another year, or would you upset the apple cart and possibly bring in somebody who will challenge Max?
yeah, but so the only person you're realistically bringing into that seat is Danny Rick, and from all talk at Red Bull, Danny Rick is not the same Danny Rick mentally he was when he left Red Bull and Renault. So if you put Danny Rick in the car, you have someone that can, yeah, occasionally take a win, but he at this moment in time, at his current capacity, he's not challenging Max. And if you're Checo, who cares if Red Bull aren't allowing you to challenge or team orders or whatever? If you are Checo Perez, there's a very realistic chance this is the last time you're ever going to challenge for a world title. Do you give a monkeys if Red Bull are going to allow it or not?
I mean, I do throw in the idea that if you've got a choice now, I mean, Yuki Tsunoda is certainly putting himself in the picture of being Red Bull's best junior choice. maybe him and Liam Lawson at the moment are the two choices. Liam doing it out the spotlight over in Japan. If you're Red Bull and Sergio does leave at the end of the season, right now, do you stick a Daniel Ricciardo in, who may not be the Daniel Ricciardo he was, and he'll be glad to be back in the seats, but do you put a Daniel Ricciardo in, or do you put a Yuki Tsunoda in there, who will just be glad to be in a car that's quick?
Do you put in someone who's going to guarantee you? Okay, my reverse question to that. My answer to your question is another question, which is then, do you put in a proven race winner and someone who, up until he was in a McLaren seat, used to wring the neck and drag a car way beyond its capability in terms of results? Or do you put someone in the car who has taken 3 years to now beat arguably the worst driver in the grid when he was getting his ass kicked by Pierre Gasly for 2 years?
Yeah. No, I understand.
And we all know what Pierre was like in that Red Bull.
Just part of me just feels that I do feel Yuki has slightly turned a corner, because I think that AlphaTauri is a terrible car this season. I just wonder if he is building that consistency into. I mean, obviously, it's not the pressurised, because he knows he's got a bad car. Just get out there and drive what you can off it. So if he suddenly has a teammate who, say, Nick de Vries, suddenly hits the ground running and starts getting top tens, then the pressure's back on Yuki, and maybe we'll see a different Yuki. Who knows?
He was beaten. The way I see it, he was soundly beaten by a Pierre Gasly who utterly struggled in that Red Bull seat.
Yeah, true.
The thing with Danny Rick, yes, he has had 2 very bad years. The man, he still, and for all the talk of how good Lando Norris is and stuff like that, and Lando could have won at Russia, who is the last winner for McLaren?
Yeah, very true.
At the end of the day, that's where that's for me. That's where it comes down to.
I just suppose Red Bull might worry if you stick Daniel Ricciardo in the car, and just let's take this year's calendar. Bahrain, he comes home in about 3rd. Saudi Arabia, 3rd or 4th. Just slowly starts building his confidence back up. Then pops a couple of wins in, and starts getting the confidence to think, I can take this title.
But I don't think Red Bull would care as much, because Danny Rick is still a Red Bull junior driver.
Fair point.
I
But
think
would we see a position of 2015, or sorry, 2014, where Daniel came in, blitzed Vettel, and then Vettel got upset as number 1 and left? Do you think we'd see that same thing with Max?
the only top team that would take Max at, quote unquote, top team that would take Max at the moment is Aston, if you can consider them a top team. Ferrari aren't gonna put Verstappen and Leclerc together. Max has now categorically said, given what he said about Mercedes and what Mercedes think about Max, I don't ever see Max wearing wearing the black or silver, whatever color the Mercedes is. And then after that, it's Aston, or whatever incarnation of sort of the Audi is going to be, or stuff like that. So and then the other thing is, when you look at Seb left a team that was probably still the second best team on the grid, struggled at Ferrari, got to a world title challenging car, illegal engine or not, but didn't have autonomous sort of control of the engineering. Red Bull is a well-oiled machine. The Mercedes is a well-oiled machine. If you have the choice between Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari's last in your choice, unfortunately.
Well, we are going on to Ferrari in a minute, and the rumours have been, Charles has tried to dampen them down, but rumours that he has been in talks with other teams, Mercedes being one of them, which I would find quite a strange move, but to to replace Lewis Hamilton when he does go. There's also rumours of the Aldi, which obviously he's been there at Sauber before, so I could kind of see the ideas behind that. But let's take hypothetically that Leclerc does leave Ferrari, and Ferrari are looking for a top driver to take over. Is there room there for Max?
Nope.
If we think that Carlos Sainz isn't good enough to lead the team?
Do you want to put Charles and Max together? Ferrari's never been a team where they have.
No, I'm saying Charles leaves.
Oh, sorry, Charles.
And Max
Yeah.
takes over Charles, and maybe does a Schumacher and goes, right, I'm coming in, but you're going to do what I say.
But then that leaves a certain 7-time world champion that could potentially be available.
Personally, I don't see Lewis ever leaving Mercedes now. I think that has it's kind of like the Senna Ferrari story. Ferrari always wanted Senna, and by the time Senna wanted Ferrari had gone sort of down the pan a little bit.
Yeah, but if I'm talking if Charles does potentially leave, potentially, George Russell's contracted in that seat till 2025, I believe. There's only but there's only one person in Mercedes that's currently not contracted till next year.
But then, if you're in a position of saying, in that Mercedes, you can have George Russell or Lewis Hamilton.
Depends whether I don't know. The PR 63 machine. I don't think Sky Sports would like that, would they?
Well, it'd be interesting to see somebody who, George has a very sort of level brain in terms of the rules and the engineering side of things. Him going into Ferrari, Latin flair and his sort of straight thinking. I'm not sure that would work myself, but we'll see. But anyway, we're going to move on to Ferrari back at the front. So, Wajid, Ferrari surprised us. We look at our predictions and we go, okay, we didn't see Ferrari on pole.
No one saw Ferrari on pole. In fairness, our predictions are the worst thing to look at.
Yeah, but we predicted for Ferrari not really to be anywhere in the last round, and they got pole, and we know Baku's a bit of a quirky circuit, but it's less of a quirky circuit than, say, Melbourne. So are we seeing a Ferrari where they've actually worked out how this car works, and we could actually see Leclerc fighting at the fronts for Miami like he did last year?
No. The Ferrari was in a much different position last year. When Ferrari rolled to Miami, Ferrari were the quickest team in the grid.
They were
Ferrari
also leading the championship.
And they were all well, there wasn't Charles Leclerc like some 40 points ahead of Max or something at that point?
At one point, I'm not sure if it was Miami, but yeah. But,
I think it was because Miami was race 4 last year, wasn't it?
Possibly. I will look into that while we.
No, I just think it was a one-off. I think that I don't trust the Ferrari.
It was round 5 because it was just after his Imola mistake. So yeah, I think he was just about still leading it.
All right, yeah. So, but the Ferrari still rolled up to Miami as like the genuine number one car. I don't see it. I think Baku was a one-off. Charles is very, very strong at Baku. We all know. He was sort of fairly strong at Miami last year, but I don't think Ferrari number 2. I genuinely just think the Astons and the Mercs had a bad day at Baku.
Yeah.
It's a bumpier track. The Merc is very very draggy. We know it needs more refining. Toto Wolff came out and said that in FP1 both George and Lewis went the wrong way, and then by the time they worked out which way they should have gone, obviously cars were in that stupid parc fermé rule, and with this being a sort of normal weekend, I I just don't think Ferrari are going to be there, and generally, that Ferrari does not work well in warmer conditions because of the way it overheats its tires, the coolings and things like that, and spoiler, but I kind of expect the Astons to be the sort of number two car this weekend.
Well, it'll be interesting when we get round to it and see what happens. Last year, Mercedes struggled, but they had the porpoising at the time, and then it was pretty much a battle because of the safety car. I think Lewis got screwed, and George had the good run with the safety car. Williams made it into the points, so could we see them being really strong again? But because of the safety car, it was only a win by about 4 seconds by Max and 8 seconds to Carlos Sainz, who managed to hold off Perez. So even where Perez was in a really quick car last year, he couldn't make it past Sergio Perez on newer tyres. So Perez couldn't make it past Sainz on newer tyres. He can't overtake himself. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. So, as always, well, I think by this round you realise this is a bit pointless, but we will move on to the predictions. The pointless predictions. We are running on a strategy of 6 and is it 6 and 7 out of 39? We said
Something stupid like that.
Something like that. So we're, as always, a little notebook comes out, and we will be Miami, and we've got just qualifying and just one race this time. Hey, nothing, and then so only 9 predictions from us this time. So here we are, our predictions for the 2023 Miami Grand Prix.
Would you like
Our
to go
predictions
first?
will be very. I think our predictions will be as boring as the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, to be fair, because that's the only way we're going to get anything right. But we'll see. Qualifying, Wajid, off you go.
Max Checo, Alonso.
Trying a banker to make sure you get some points.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, I am going to go Checo, Max, Leclerc. Just because of the one-lap pace of that man. It's ridiculous.
Fair enough.
We'll move on to the race predictions. Who do you think will be the winner of the Miami Grand Prix and have to wear that stupid football helmet? I said helmet, not helmet.
That'd make for one interesting podium, wouldn't it?
Red Bull, if you ever want to sponsor this podcast, just let us know. We'll soon change it.
We don't mind you, by the way. I know we bash you a little bit.
Hey, look at the thumbnails. It's so good that I've got access to Red Bull's pictures, isn't it? Because if it was another team dominating, we'd be in trouble.
Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Checo Perez.
I presume you mean in that order.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm just going to wind you back like literally 2 minutes ago when you said Ferrari will not be near the front.
I said, yeah, but
Aston Martin will be the challengers.
I'm expecting a crazy race.
So currently, for your top 3, let me just get this right. You've said Red Bull and Alonso and Aston will be the challengers at front. Ferrari could be the 4th fastest team.
I'm expecting a crazy race.
And you've got Charles Leclerc winning the race.
I am wishing a crazy race into existence. Famous last words.
I think you have more chance of them putting a real boat in real water. But anyway.
There is real water this year.
Don't tell Craig Slater because it's going to make one hell of a piece when he jumps in. when he thinks it's still fake and he jumps in it. I am actually going to go Checo for winning in Miami. I'm going to go Lewis in third. Now, does Max make the end of this Grand Prix?
Ooh.
Because if he does, he finishes second if Checo's going to win it.
Dun 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 dun.
George Russell.
Ooh.
George Russell to finish second.
Ooh.
So I've got Checo, Russell, Lewis. I don't know why Max doesn't finish there. I don't know.
We're getting 0 points to the races. All right, okay.
Hey, I'm not the one who sat there and said Ferrari are going to be the fourth fastest team and put them as victory.
I said they're going to be fourth fastest team. You can still win as a fourth fastest team.
Name the last four fastest team to win a Grand Prix.
McLaren.
With a fourth. I think there's one before that.
You mean after that?
After that, yeah.
Who?
Ocon?
No, Monza was after Hungary, wasn't it? 2021.
Was Ricciardo's win after?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I feel like
I'm sure. Monza's after. Monza's after.
But I'm feeling like it was different. Ocon was. Oh yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
I'll give you that one.
You're welcome.
Sean, don't come chasing me. Yeah, who knows? But it feels like Daniels was much further back than Ocon's.
I know. That's the 2021 was a crazy year.
Wild cards. Let's go wild. Let's go. Sergeant Point.
That's his home Grand Prix.
Well, I don't know which one of the three is his own Grand Prix.
Well, no, but he Fort Lauderdale was like an hour away from Miami.
Is he?
This is like his home Grand Prix.
I'm trying to think where Logan Sargent was from.
Fort Lauderdale.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, technically his home Grand Prix. Yeah, I'm going to go for a win. Not
A win. Flipping hell. Fair play.
That would be a random win, random result. The last time he actually raced in America, I'm just having a look actually because he spent British F3, UAE, Formula Renault.
Do F2 not race in Miami?
Go to Miami. Jeddah, Imola, Catalonia. No. So he has never raced at Miami.
And you go scoring a point.
Yeah.
Fair play.
The wild cards. Your first wild card.
Martin Brundle to mistake another American superstar for someone else.
To not forget his name, just to mistake him for somebody.
Yeah, like he did with Paolo Banchero last year, where he thought he was Patrick Mahomes.
I would go for a really easy one, which is going to give us a point, where somebody snubs an interview on the grid. But
No.
I'm not going to go for that.
No.
As Martin would normally say, I'm not going to get that interview. It's not going to ruin my life. What can we have? Miami. The FAA Cock Cup is just normal, so that's always going to happen. Yeah, go on. If you've got your second, you can go for it, because I'm still...
2 red flags.
2?
Yeah.
2 red flags.
And I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again this week. I'm gonna speak into existence. Red Bull collision.
You were really hoping for that, aren't you?
Yeah.
You say that you went for that last week. You went for that race before as well.
I don't care. The third time's the charm.
Check.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, Red Bull crash there. Let's just go back to Australia. Yeah, Red Bull collision.
Yeah, I don't care. Third time's the charm. If it doesn't happen this week, then the chat can help me to give me another prediction next week.
Oh, you're gonna need something. Let's see. Shall we have? It's really difficult because Miami didn't really give us a lot last year, did it? Let's go for. If Sargent's going to get points, let's go for. Oh Christ, this is a wild card. Nick de Vries to beat Yuki in the race.
Fair play.
Yuki better retire. And final one. So it's got to be something to do with Miami, hasn't it? Stupid podium mats is going to happen, isn't it? It's going to happen.
Yeah, it is.
Let's just go. We'll go for Max to have a mechanical failure. So that's why he doesn't win the Grand Prix. So, for those who, because that was a longly stretched by us both, for qualifying, I've got Checo, Max, Leclerc. Wajid has Max, Checo, Alonso. Yeah, Max, Checo, Alonso. For the race, I have Checo, Russell, Lewis. Wajid has Leclerc, Hamilton, Perez. He's looking like he regrets that already. And for the wild cards, I've got Sargent to score a point, De Vries to beat Yuki, and Max mechanical failure. And Wajid has Brundle mistaking somebody on the grid, 2 red flags, and his customary Red Bull collision. Yeah. Let's hope it's damn sight better. I mean, let's put it this way. We're not expecting a lot from Miami. So if something happens, that's good. Shall we take it that way?
We're hoping for something.
And please remember, if you are in the UK watching this, it is on at 8:30 at night on Sunday.
That's qualifying. No, qualifying's on at 9.
Yes.
And I believe the race is 8.
But it could. Let me just check because it's got the full schedule here. Formula One on the Sunday is 4 hours behind UTC, so that's
7:30. 7:30 to 9:30.
And to add on to that, at least you haven't gone and spent 1.2 thousand euros on a seat. So yeah, we won't talk about prices. I'm surprised we didn't actually get onto it because that's what we were going to talk about.
No, I think we'll talk about it in the review.
Yeah, especially if it's an unentertaining race. But for now, that is the Miami Grand Prix review. It's a Miami Grand Prix review which hopefully hasn't bored you and is less exciting than the race. It's more exciting than last year's race. and hopefully we'll be able to bring you some really good, exciting racing from Miami next week. Who am I kidding? Seriously, who am I kidding? It doesn't rain in Miami.
It does,
Not when a Grand Prix is on.
but it never rains when a Grand Prix is on. In Baku, it rained an hour later.
True. Very true.
Yeah, that's it. Here's to hoping for some form of entertainment from this flipping race. Oh, if it's because this race is on this circuit's on the calendar till at least 2032 or something stupid.
Yeah, but at least they can just rip it up and start again.
Anyway,
Just put it around a different stadium. Thank you, Wajid, for joining us again.
thank you.
Second day in the trot, you've had to put up with me, so we'll give you a bit of a break over weekend, and you can recharge your batteries.
Start all again on Monday, mate.
Yeah, and then on Monday we'll be here for the Grand Prix review of the Miami Grand Prix, obviously, and I look forward where we actually have a week's break after that. So yeah, that's a miracle of miracles. But for now, thank you, Wajid, for joining us. What are you celebrating now? After we still record, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm just
You still
celebrating.
going to put up with me?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're not. I'm surprised they're not planning on flying to Argentina for a race. To be perfectly honest.
Well, you know how
that's what's
schedules go. But for now, thank you for joining us, Wajid, and we will see you
Thank
all
you.
next week for the Miami Grand Prix review, and we'll possibly be live for that. We'll see how things go. But for now, give it a like and any comments below that you have on the Miami Grand Prix and your predictions as well. It would be interesting to see whether you predict as wildly as we, and you might be damn sight better at it. And if you are, maybe we'll get you on the show because we just look completely incompetent at times. So, thank you and goodbye.